J.K. Rowling, a name synonymous with magic and fantasy, has become a lightning rod for controversy in recent years. Once celebrated for creating the beloved Harry Potter series, Rowling's outspoken views on gender identity and woke ideology have sparked widespread debate. While she still commands a loyal fan base, her comments have also drawn criticism from activists, fans, and celebrities. But how did the acclaimed author go from beloved literary figure to one of the most divisive voices in the cultural conversation around woke ideology?
Look, I have always said never say never. Well, not never say never. I've always said I'm not going to say I definitely won't, because I don't see why I should say that.
Before delving into the controversy, it's essential to understand J.K. Rowling's earlier public image. Rowling has long been admired, not just for her literary genius, but also for her activism. She's been an outspoken advocate for various causes, including women's rights, poverty alleviation, and LGBTQ+ rights.
Sometimes abuse. So at Lumos, we advocate and help create systems that support children within their families and their community.
Her progressive stance made her a favorite among liberal audiences, and her work on behalf of marginalized groups earned her accolades. In many ways, Rowling was seen as a champion of social justice long before her views on gender identity became a topic of debate. The turning point came in June 2020, when Rowling tweeted her opposition to the phrase "people who menstruate," arguing that it erased the concept of biological womanhood. What followed was a firestorm of online backlash, with many accusing Rowling of being transphobic. Rowling's tweet ignited a fierce debate on gender identity and biological sex. For many activists, her comments represented an attack on transgender individuals and their rights. Almost immediately, the hashtag #CanceledRowling began trending, with many calling for boycotts of her work in response to the backlash. Rowling published a 3,600-word essay on her website, elaborating on her stand. She expressed her concerns about how gender identity issues were being handled in both public discourse and policymaking. Rowling explained that she supports transgender rights but remains worried about the impact on women's spaces and protections.
Rowling published a 3,600-word essay to her website on Wednesday, which gets into other topics such as transgender bathroom laws.
In her essay, Rowling described herself as a survivor of domestic abuse and emphasized the importance of protecting single-sex spaces, such as bathrooms and women's shelters. While some praised her for opening up a complex conversation, others saw it as an attempt to undermine the legitimacy of transgender identities. The response from the public was swift and, in many cases, unforgiving. Some fans of the Harry Potter series expressed their disappointment and even distanced themselves from Rowling altogether. High-profile stars from the Harry Potter franchise, including Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, released statements in support of the transgender community, subtly or directly criticizing Rowling's views.
I have heard this. This is something that has come up every so often for the last few years, and every time it comes up, I'm like, it's not true.
The divide between Rowling and her fan base widened as more celebrities voiced their opposition. Some even suggested that Rowling's opinions cast a shadow over her legacy as a writer and philanthropist. Despite the backlash, Rowling remained resolute in her beliefs, continuing to engage with critics and defend her position. The Rowling controversy has since become part of a much larger cultural conversation about woke ideology, cancel culture, and freedom of speech. Many have pointed out that while some view Rowling's statements as harmful, others see her as standing up for free speech and the rights of women to discuss issues affecting them. Rowling's critics argue that her comments perpetuate harmful stereotypes and misunderstandings about the transgender community. However, her supporters claim that she is merely voicing legitimate concerns and that the backlash is an example of woke culture shutting down opposing views. Despite the controversy, J.K. Rowling's influence remains undeniable. Her works continue to inspire millions, and the world of Harry Potter shows no signs of fading from public consciousness. Yet, her clash with woke ideology has left a lasting mark on her public image and the broader cultural conversation. As debates about gender identity, free speech, and cancel culture rage on, Rowling's place in this conversation will remain significant. Whether seen as a defender of women's rights or a controversial figure resistant to progress, J.K. Rowling's clash with woke ideology is far from a simple story. It touches on deep and complicated issues of identity, free speech, and societal change. Regardless of where one stands, Rowling's influence on the cultural debate surrounding gender identity ensures that her legacy will continue to be debated for years to come. Subscribe for more content on culture, controversy, and the biggest names in literature and media.